In the vast and eerie expanse of Wyoming, my buddy Zach and I embarked on a road trip to attend a friend's wedding. The chosen venue was their quaint hometown, a speck on the map inconveniently distant for most. Undeterred, we secured a cozy Airbnb nearby, a farmhouse surrounded by acres of desolate land. As we settled into the isolated dwelling, the air thickened with an uneasy tension. The farmhouse, though welcoming, bore an ominous silence that stretched into the horizon. It was just us, the grass, the trees, and the dirt road leading to the unknown. The first day passed in laughter and chatter, but as night fell, a disquiet settled over me. The isolation, the quietude, it all conspired to make sleep elusive. Eventually, fatigue claimed me, and I drifted into a restless slumber. Morning light found us at the wedding, a joyous affair that carried on until the late hours. It wasn't until 9 or 10 p.m. that we returned to the farmhouse. Zach, weary from the festivities, retired to bed immediately, leaving me alone in the dimly lit living room. As I sunk into the solitude, a solitary, hushed knock echoed through the stillness. My unease surged. Who could be here at this unearthly hour? Reluctantly, I approached the front door, peering cautiously through the window. To my bewilderment, there was no one in sight. The driveway lay empty, the night shrouded in an unsettling quiet. Cautiously, I swung the door open, revealing only the vast emptiness outside. The darkness seemed to swallow any trace of life. Convinced it was a trick of the old house, I shut the door, attempting to dismiss the unsettling feeling. Resuming my seat, I barely had time to settle before another muted noise, this time from the back of the house, disrupted the stillness. Panic rising, I hurriedly navigated through the farmhouse, flicking on the outdoor light and peering through the window. Again, there was nothing but the chilling void. The rational part of my mind insisted it was the house settling, yet the unnerving nature of the sounds persisted. The night unfolded in a symphony of disquiet, each knock amplifying the sense of isolation. The farmhouse, once a haven, now harbored an unspoken terror, leaving me questioning the very walls that enclosed us in that desolate landscape. I stood by the window, peering into the abyss of the backyard that seamlessly merged with the dense, foreboding forest. The darkness was impenetrable, swallowing any trace of life beyond. I hoped the vacant landscape would ease my unease, but instead it fueled my growing discomfort. This wasn't my farmhouse, it was someone else's, and an unsettling feeling gnawed at me. Hours passed as I lingered, my gaze fixated on the ominous void outside. The only solace came from the silence, a deceptive calm that masked the impending horror. Reluctantly, I decided to retire for the night, traversing the dimly lit hallway to my room, adjacent to Zach's. Lying in bed, the stillness was deafening. Just as sleep began to embrace me, a sudden knock on my bedroom door jolted me awake. "Hello, Zach," I called out, relief flooding me as I anticipated his response. His voice echoed from the hall, beckoning me to join him outside. Approaching Zach, I sensed an unmistakable fear etched across his face. "What's going on?" I inquired, my apprehension growing. He recounted waking to eerie movements outside his window, discovering a mysterious figure traversing the perimeter of the house. As we deliberated our next move, ominous clicking sounds reverberated from the front door. Racing to the living room, we discovered a man on the porch, his body pressed against the door. Fidgeting with an unseen object, his sinister intent was palpable. Locking eyes with Zach, terror mirrored in his expression. We understood the gravity of the situation. Without exchanging words, he hastened to call the police, leaving me to confront the intruder. Gripping the lock, my only defense, I prayed it would withstand any tampering. Frustration echoed from the trespasser as he attempted to breach the door. Abruptly, he retreated to the shadows beside the house. Fear immobilized us, rendering the windows an unchecked abyss. Opting for refuge, we barricaded ourselves in a room, awaiting the arrival of the police. The ensuing silence was more ominous than the preceding chaos. The distant wail of sirens heralded the arrival of law enforcement, but their investigation yielded scant evidence. The enigma persisted, leaving us in the dark about the intruder's motives. Who was he and why did he target our Airbnb? The unsettling truth lingered. The nocturnal noises preceding the encounter hinted at a sinister presence stalking us, meticulously planning a breach into our supposedly secure sanctuary. The encounter concluded, but the horror persisted, etched into the fabric of that night. The unknown lingered, a ghostly reminder that malevolence can materialize when least expected. The Airbnb, once a refuge, now harbored the lingering specter of an intruder who knew our every move, turning a night's stay into a haunting ordeal. Story 2. I found myself in a neighboring city 3 years ago, seeking refuge in an Airbnb for the night. A crucial job interview awaited me the next morning, and the thought of driving 3 hours at the crack of dawn didn't sit well with me. So, there I was, arriving at 7:00 p.m. after a 4-hour drive. The house, nestled in a seemingly normal neighborhood, exuded an air of familial comfort. Parking in the driveway, I entered, blissfully unaware of the chilling events that would soon unfold. As I stepped inside, my heart skipped a beat when a woman turned the corner and introduced herself. Startled, I hadn't anticipated another occupant. She explained she was staying for a few days, occupying the other half of the house. I reciprocated the introduction, still trying to process the unexpected encounter. Recovering from the surprise, I retreated to my room. Fumbling with my phone, I opened the Airbnb app to verify the reservation. A shadow of doubt crept in. Was this a legitimate arrangement, or was I falling victim to some shady rip-off? Before I could delve into the app, the woman knocked on my door, initiating a conversation that veered towards the peculiar. Her relentless small talk, bordering on flirtation, left me uneasy. Determined to unravel the mystery, I scrutinized the app. No mention of multiple rooms, just a house for rent. The pictures depicted a single room, leaving my inquiry unanswered. Tired and pressed for time, I decided to contact the owner for clarification, resigning myself to whatever response awaited. Once settled in the room, I headed to the kitchen to prepare a late-night meal. But fate had other plans. The woman reappeared, her tired eyes and disheveled hair adding an eerie quality to her demeanor. She engaged in another round of conversation, her persistent flirtation intensifying. Uncomfortable in my early 20s, I attempted to politely decline her invitations. As I sat in the kitchen, the atmosphere grew increasingly unsettling. Her insistence reached a peak when she proposed showing me her room. Unsettled, I declined, opting to eat in solitude. Her smile faded into a frown, a palpable displeasure at my lack of interest. Just as the tension peaked, my phone buzzed on the counter, signaling a message from the owner. A sinking feeling gripped my stomach as I read. No one else should be there. Call the police if there's anyone in sight. Panic set in as I glanced back at the woman, her displeasure now replaced with an ominous glare. A door creaked open down the hallway, heavy footsteps echoing through the house. I abandoned my belongings and sprinted for the door, catching a glimpse of a man charging towards me. I fled to my car, leaving the house behind in a cloud of dust. When the authorities arrived, the trespassers had vanished into the night. What their intentions were, had I followed the woman into her room, remains an unsettling mystery. My belongings were untouched, but the incident left lingering questions about the dark secrets hidden within the seemingly ordinary Airbnb.